So Jeff, in Chapter 7, you talk about planning for major investments. And I think at some point, all of us will dream of buying that house or paying for an education. In terms of saving up to buy a house, do people usually overestimate or underestimate the cost of buying a house? And what advice would you give for first-time home buyers?
A mistake I see a lot of people make is they reach for too much house. I know that conventional wisdom is sometimes to get that house that you can grow into, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's affordable. So you don't want to reach too far. You want to make sure that when you purchase a house, that purchase is affordable now based on the income that you have. The other thing that's really important is time frame. Is if you're looking to purchase a house, make sure that you're committed to staying there from 5 to 7 years. And the reason for that is number one, we all know that home values can go down. And so having that time gives you the ability to perhaps recoup any losses, but even more important, a guarantee involves transaction costs. You will typically have costs when you secure a mortgage. You will also have costs when you sell your home. Most people will sell their home through a realtor, and those fees can be 5 to 7%. So it takes time for your equity to grow and hopefully the value of your home. So it's very important to have the right time frame.
In Chapter 7, I talk about planning for major personal investments. And what I'm really going to talk about in this chapter involves some of the items that are just really key, especially once you move outside of thinking about investments through your company retirement savings plan. And the first item is purchasing a home or your primary residence. And for many of us, that represents outside of our retirement savings plan. When we get to retirement, the single largest investment we'll make. So it's very important. And when you are looking to purchase a home, certainly the most important factor, one of the most important factors, I should say, is your location. And realtors talk about that a lot, location, location, location. But I also say it's affordability, affordability, affordability. You need to make sure that when you purchase your primary residence, that it is affordable. There's nothing worse than being what we call house poor, where you're just devoting so much of your income to your housing payments that you really don't have much left to pay for or to finance other types of investments or to potentially pay down other forms of debt. In fact, there is a ratio called the top debt ratio, which is used by lenders to provide an idea of how much an individual or a family unit should spend for their mortgage-related payments. And that amount is not to exceed 30% of your gross income, and that's before any taxes or deductions. So a good example of that is to take whatever your mortgage would be, your mortgage payment, add to it your property taxes, and then the cost of insurance for the property. Take those three payments, and they are in your numerator, and the denominator is your total gross income. And when you do that simple math, you want to make sure that the sum of those three payments does not exceed 30% of your gross income. So that's a good benchmark to keep in mind as you're looking at how much house can you afford. And that really ties in with the length of your mortgage, because that's another key decision that you'll need to make. And that's why a lot of times people will say, gee, should it be 15 years or 30 years? A lot of times just doing the top debt ratio will move people into the 30-year range because it gives you more financial flexibility. So there really is not a textbook answer with respect to should your mortgage be 15 or 30 years or some number of years in between that. It really depends on a number of factors, with affordability being a key driver. Conversely, if you are within 15 years of retirement and you're securing a mortgage, Makes a lot of sense to keep that mortgage at 15 years or less so that you have your mortgage paid in full at the time you retire. So the other thing to look at involves choosing either a fixed rate of interest or a variable rate of interest. You want to look at both, but a fixed rate of interest, especially when interest rates are low, generally makes a lot of sense. And that's what we're seeing in the mortgage market today with relatively low interest rates, that people are locking into the lower fixed rate. For those of you that own a home and perhaps you have been making payments on your home for a number of years, you'll want to always look at the prevailing interest rates because it may make sense to refinance your mortgage. Even saving as little as a 0.5 percentage point on your mortgage can make sense for refinancing. So if you haven't taken a look at what the prevailing interest rates are and you've been in a mortgage for some time, take a good look. In fact, just 2 years ago, I refinanced my mortgage twice because rates were really dropping. So that can be a great way to save money. Now taking a look at another major personal investment, and that is in securing a college education. And I know for a lot of individuals who have dependents, that is a major investment that individuals want to make. And the best thing to do is to start as early as possible saving for education expenses. And one of the best ways to save for college education is through a Section 529 plan. It provides a lot of nice tax advantages, and it allows you to save in a systematic and ongoing basis for future college education expenses. Every state sponsors a 529 type plan, and one of the places where you can go to find out more information is at savingforcollege.com. This website will provide you with some really good information on the different Section 529 plans that are available in your state. In the chapter, I also provide information about applying for financial aid. That is another area where individuals, if they have a dependent that is close to entering college, it's very important, regardless of your income, to look at all sources of potential college dollars. And so there's one very easy form to fill out. It is called the FAFSA. And that's another acronym. We like a lot of acronyms in finance, and that stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It is something that you fill out generally every year prior to college, and it gives colleges an idea of your overall finances, and it allows them to look at any programs that might be available to secure college dollars. And so the whole idea about planning ahead for college expenses is that the more that can be saved for college, the less pressure there will be to use college loans, which I know for a lot of, especially millennials in the workforce, can be a real challenge. So the quicker that you can get a program started for college savings, typically the better, and it will result in less financial pressure down the road when you have a dependent, or even perhaps for yourself if you're thinking about advanced education. In Chapter 6, I talked about the absolute importance of utilizing company-sponsored benefits to build financial wellness. There is another retirement type plan that all of us can participate if we have earned income, and it is called the IRA, or Individual Retirement Account. IRAs have been around for decades, and they represent another key item or key area for building financial wellness. And they come in a couple of different varieties, and I discuss those in the chapter. One particular IRA that many of you will find advantageous to consider is called a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA provides some very unique tax advantages. Although your contributions to a Roth IRA in a given year are not tax deductible, the income and any gains you have on the account while you're accumulating over the years is not taxed. And the best part is that when you need that money, typically in the Roth to fund retirement expenses, when you take it out at your normal retirement age or beyond, the proceeds are not taxed. And that is one of the best tax saving benefits that the federal government provides you. So number one is take a good look at your company retirement savings plan, fund it as aggressively as you can. And if you've done that, then take a good look at Roth IRA investments or standard IRA investments, depending upon your tax situation. Those can be another excellent way to save in a very tax-friendly way for retirement, because I always look at if the federal government and the state governments are providing an incentive for me to save, then I want to take a look at it. And certainly an IRA provides that particular incentive. And what's really important to remember when you look at company-sponsored benefits, when you look at investing in an IRA, or if you say, hey, I've done all of that and I want to invest my own money, you also can invest through mutual funds, through exchange-traded funds personally. And that's why the concept of asset allocation, which is a theme in this book when you start investing, is so important. That concept remains the same, and it doesn't matter what type of investment you're making in financial markets. Always remember your asset allocation. It is absolutely key. The other question I'm often asked is about investments in real estate outside of your own personal residence. And I can say that for the vast majority of individuals, it's probably not a good idea. And I speak from experience. I am a landlord. I have 2 income properties. It has worked well for me, but I have had a unique level of experience handling properties when I was growing up. My best friend, his mother owned scores of properties. So I had a background in it, but I will say this, that for most people, an investment in real estate outside of your personal home can have a lot of risk that a lot of people really don't want to take. And quite frankly, for most people, if you stay focused on your retirement savings benefits, an IRA, and personal investments outside of real estate, those can really make a lot of sense. But if you have the aptitude for a direct investment in real estate, it can be a good investment. But let me say from experience that it does take a level of knowledge. It takes much more time, and it's something you have to actively manage. So if you have the right temperament for tenants and all the things that can go on with them, it can be a good investment. But for most people, a direct investment in real estate outside of their own home is probably not the best idea for their investment dollars. So the key takeaway from Chapter 7 is to make sure if you purchase a primary residence that it's affordable. I've provided a ratio. It's the top debt ratio. So I've provided you ideas on keeping your mortgage affordable through the top debt ratio, where you keep your payments hopefully under 30% of your gross income. And if you're thinking about funding college expenses, getting started early is a great way to go. And a 529 plan is a tax-favored way to save for college expenses. IRAs are also another great investment, so take a look at your options there. And then on a personal investment side, much the same as a company investment plan or an IRA, is that you have to think about asset allocation. And for most people, a direct investment in real estate outside of their primary homes is probably not a good idea due to the complexity associated with being a landlord. So keep those ideas in mind and make sure you go through the action step checklist in Chapter 7 to help you make good decisions with your major personal investments.